A military Humvee convoy crosses the Afghan desert at the start of the film. In one of them are troops on duty and a wealthy weapons inventor. Welcome to movie speeching. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take good care. Stark. He's teasing. Several people in the convoy seem truly happy around him. However, the convoy is abruptly attacked by masked gunmen. The troops make an effort to rescue themselves, but forthcoming killing. Tony hides behind a huge boulder to get out of the Humvee. A rocket lands. Tony observes the Stark Industries logo before the object explodes nearby, imprinted on it. He is thrown backward when some shrapnel enters his body armor, losing consciousness. Tony Stark has a 36-hour window in which he must be in Las Vegas to accept the Apogee Award. He is the child. He is the young prodigy son of renowned weapons researcher Howard Stark, and he made his debut. His first V8 engine at age 6, his first circuit board at age 4, and graduated summa laude from MIT when he was 17 years old. In 1991, his parents perished in a vehicle accident. When he took over as CEO of Stark Industries, he was 21. Colonel James Rhodes is ready to deliver. Tony is not present, yet he receives the award. Tony's right-hand man, Obadiah Stane, accepts the honor in his stead. Rhodes later comes upon Tony having fun at a casino. A journalist named Christine Everhart interrupts him as he leaves, expressing some doubts about the morality of his weaponry company. He quickly jokes in response to her inquiries, and the two end up spending the night together at Tony's Malibu beachfront home. The following morning, Christine is woken up by a voice heard on a computer screen. Jarvis, the AI system in charge of Tony's house, is here. Lab for research. Virginia Pepper Potts, his human assistant, welcomes Christine as she departs. Tony asks Pepper to help him with some work before he heads to the airport, where his aircraft is waiting. While they are in the air, Tony talks to Rhodes and attempts to help him unwind. In response to Rhodes' displeasure with his laid-back demeanor, they travel to an Afghan military base to exhibit his company's most recent project. They quickly become inebriated and gawk at the Jericho, a sophisticated supermissile system. Attendance on airplanes. He gets a call from Obadiah after. They are both pleased with how the show went after seeing the demonstration. Tony departs in a different Humvee after refusing to go with Rhodes to avoid an attack. The beginning takes place. Then, in a cave, Tony regains consciousness. A strange device, thrown together randomly, affixed to his chest and powered by a vehicle battery. Dr. Ho Insun, a different prisoner, claims that he performed surgery on Tony but was unable to fully remove the shrapnel. Insun created a mechanism, essentially an electromagnet, to stop the remaining shards from moving and causing more damage to his heart. The militants who abducted them into the space. Insun claims that they want Tony to build them a Jericho missile. Tony declines, so they submerge him in water and torment him. Later, the terrorists, who were part of it. The Ten Rings organization has a vast array of manufactured weapons on exhibit via Stark Industries. Tony seems to give in and start building the rocket. However, he has other plans. He creates a considerably smaller, more basic arc reactor, bigger model, Palladium, and Insun's steady Dr. Hands, as used at his company's headquarters, found his weapons again. The output power is adequate to keep his and prevent any of the shrapnel in his heart from moving for 50 lives. More. Insun briefly introduces himself to Tony. He was born and raised in the Afghan town of Gulmira, which the Ten Rings attacked, and I don't know if his family is still around. He also acknowledges that he met Tony at a convention years ago. However, Tony was probably so inebriated that evening that he does not recall him. Tony feels pressured to continue, but then seems to change his mind. He begins developing a mechanism for weapons, powered by the arc reactor armored outfit that he would put on and use to fight the terrorists. Raza, the leader of the Ten Rings, shows up midway through construction and issues threats. Because he feels Tony is not working as hard on Jericho as they should, Tony makes a deal to save Insun, saying he would be a fantastic helper. Raza gives them one extra day to complete. Tony works furiously all night to complete his assignment. Insun fastens Tony to the finished armored gear and shows him how to get out of the cave. They set up a bomb inside the jail door as he activates his suit to divert the guards. They will soon run out of time, Insun understands. Tony objected, but he grabbed a handgun and runs away in order to confuse the remaining guards. Tony, with a fully charged suit, he pushes his way inside the cave. His outfit deflects the guards' attempts to stop him. He beats them and kills them, and his weapon fires readily. He also fires a missile from the suit at Raza, knocking him out of the path. The explosion. Halfway out of the hole, he finds Insun fatally injured, who tells that in order for Tony to flee, he intended to sacrifice himself. Eanson's relatives has already died, and he'll see them in the other world. Tony reveals his sincere thanks to Eason for saving him. He uses his suit to attack the terrorists who are still alive, setting off flamethrowers and shooting missiles. Tony hears Eason's parting words, "Don't waste your second chance at life." He wrecks their armament and uses a rudimentary jetpack to rocket himself out of the valley. He escapes a collision. A platoon enters the desert and wanders about until 2 U.S. helicopters hover above. Rhodes commanded a column of men and quickly took out towards the U.S. Pepper wants Tony to receive medical care, but he only has 2 requirements: an American doctor, press conference for the firm, and a cheeseburger. Tony then approaches a gathering of reporters and says he said he is no longer the haughty CEO he once was and that he now aspires to should immediately halt production of weapons by Stark Industries. Strategic Homeland Intervention Enforcement and Logistic Division Agent Phil Coulson. S.H.I.E.L.D. moves closer to Pepper. Regarding Tony's kidnapping, they wish to talk with him. She sets up. They may meet. Obadiah confronts Tony about his in the evening. Obadiah is aware that their company's stock value would decline as a result after this revelation. He sees Tony's Mark I chest piece, but rejects it. To enable the item's research for manufacturing, he develops the Mark II chest piece, an updated and far more potent small arc reactor, but cannot install it on their own. His assistant's robot, Dummy, tries, but is unsuccessful in inserting. Pepper offers assistance with the arc reactor. He travels to Rhodes and asks for aid. With a fresh private undertaking, Rhodes disapproves of his demeanor and thinks he is in pain. Due to his capture, he suffers from PTSD and requires time to heal. Uncovering Tony's concept to be a more effective armored suit, he tosses out most of the parts after studying a 3D CGI map, optimizing the design of the picture. In the meantime, Raza looks around the desert for any pieces of the Mark I suit that Tony may have left, severely scorched behind by the cave's rocket strike. Tony determines that he must first enhance the flying mechanism of the armor. To test the stabilizers, Pepper enters the room and places a gift, a paper-wrapped package, on the table at his desk. When Obadiah visits him, he informs him that, to take over Stark Industries, the board of directors has sought an injunction. Given that he still holds a majority share in Stark Industries, Tony is unconcerned. After Tony finally succeeds in perfecting his flight system after many painful and unsuccessful efforts, and he is ecstatic. The thought of flying. To follow the suit's progress, he speaks with Jarvis Development, and against its better judgment, decides to give it a test flight. It is amazed by the abilities of the outfit. He tests the limits of high-altitude flight, but the chilly air causes his power source to run out and his suit to become ice-coated, but barely makes it to quickly relight his thrusters. After Tony returns home and heals from he opens the package Pepper left behind after a hard landing. The Mark I arc reactor is located there, enclosed as a trophy and bearing the inscription proof that Tony Stark has a heart. He does further research and chooses to use gold titanium to repair the suit, resolving the icing and issues with weight. Agent Coulson, who he encounters, is still seeking to be aware of the occurrence. To dance with Pepper, Tony departs, and they join together for a moonlight moment. The reporter, Christine, confronts him aggressively and shows him images of his guns being employed by a terrorist organization yesterday in Eason's hometown of Gulmira. Obadiah admits that he is the one who filed the injunction when Tony confronts him about it. Versus Tony, he calls himself a ironmonger, and he has no qualms about selling Stark. Both sides in the conflict receive weapons production. Tony comes home furious and watches the news on how the situation is becoming worse in Gulmira. He extends his repulsors, blasting glass windows as a test. He sails to when the new outfit is complete. Hypersonic Gulmira, intent on righting his business's wrongs. Terrorists are collecting up people to imprison and kill. He has far better armor than theirs, takes down the first group in a matter of seconds, and does it without killing any innocent people, leaving the group's commander, Raza's principal subordinate, alive and undefended, exact their retribution. As Tony flies to get his weapons back, a tank shell shoots him down. In response, he launches a micro-missile at the tank, killing the Jericho missiles held prisoner. Raza makes it to the scene in time to see Tony take off. They mistake Tony for a rogue drone when they find someone in flight at Edwards Air Force Base. Rhodes is questioned of any recent events. He gets in touch with Tony, who claims not to know of what is occurring. 2 F-22 Raptors then start to chase Tony. He attempts to elude the jets, but they are faster than him. When Rhodes calls, Tony tells him that he is in control of the unknown ship. Rhodes is astonished and furious about the unauthorized equipment. When Tony clarifies that he is the equipment in his new creation, one combatant, Tony is launched onto the second plane's wing when a plane strikes him. Neither the pilot's parachute is closed. Tony flies in just in time to release the parachute while still under fire. He convinces to describe what happened with the aircraft as a training exercise, according to Rhodes. Pepper captures Tony as he gets home, when the robotic system is removing his attire. She has witnessed him in far worse circumstances, he quips. Obadiah, meantime, visits the Ten Rings camp and reveals that he has paid the organization to assassinate Tony and arrest him, but after recording their message, they realized who Tony was, and he asked for considerably more money. Raza becomes paralyzed, and Obadiah grabs the leftovers. Employing a powerful sonic device that causes momentary paralysis, the Mark I armor. Then Obadiah gives the order to have everyone in the camp put to death. Tony attempts to get Pepper to assist him because he believes saving the individuals he endangers. Pepper is moved by Tony's commitment, and she accepts. She walks inside Obadiah's a flash drive at the office to copy files from the computer. She locates a clip from the terrorists, demonstrating that Obadiah was in charge of Tony's arrest. She is at the computer when Obadiah enters the office, but she is able to hide her presence. How she is acting. She walks away, but he knows what she was up to. Agent Coulson can have a proper interview, Pepper assures him as they are leaving immediately, so he can get her out of the building securely with him. The development team for Obadiah's personal armored suit meets on the Mark I, but despite rebuilding they are unable to reduce the size of the arc reactor. Obadiah is furious but relents after the lead developer asserts that he lacks Tony's intellect. Obadiah knows he still has a choice. When he gets to Tony's house, he deploys the sonic weapon, paralyze him. To make fun of Tony, Obadiah yanks off his chest piece. Be the key innovation in a new era of conflict. After he departs, Tony is aware that the preserved arc is his only hope for survival. Pepper handed him a reactor as a gift. He almost trips as he makes his way to his workshop, attempts to grasp the reactor that Dummy hands him, but he passes away. He merely installs the reactor. Rhodes tells him that 5 agents have gone to capture Obadiah as he arrives, but Tony is aware that there is much insufficient manpower. As Rhodes sees Tony prepare, he is astounded by the armor. Tony responds, "Keep the sky clear," when he asks if he needs anything. Agents Pepper Coulson and a large number of others arrive at Obadiah's research facility. They learn, in addition to housing anything else in storage, the Mark I armor is also present. Right then, when Obadiah's counterpart suit, codenamed Obadiah, emerges and assaults them. Using the chest piece he took from Tony, he transformed into the Ironmonger. Jarvis alerts Tony that he only has around half the time as he flies towards the research site. Due to the older chest piece's inability to power the Mark III, the suit lacks power for continuous flying. The two armored combatants launch a tremendous street fight close to Stark Industries, with Tony attempting to shield the defenseless locals. Obadiah tries to resist as Tony drags him into the air, but his suit quickly starts to malfunction. The same icing issue as Tony's prior suit, to freeze. Tony flies overhead as Obadiah returns to Earth and starts to drop. Tony watches as the older arc reactor rapidly loses power, returns to Earth and lands on top of his facility, which is now operating on auxiliary power. Backup energy. Obadiah meets Tony again after he returns to Earth. Obadiah's suit has a weapons tracking system, which Tony disables by staying out of his way for a while. For Pepper to overcharge the arc reactor of the structure, sending a strong shockwave, sufficient to harm Obadiah's armor. The reactor's shockwave detonates, disabling the Ironmonger suit, which kills Obadiah when it falls into the reactor. After his initial mini-arc reactor sparks back to life, Tony lives. Days later, Rhodes and the two robots participate in a news conference to discuss the incident. Tony is moved by the nickname Iron Man coined by the media and decides to accept it. In order to hide the truth about Iron and Obadiah's death, Agent Coulson tells a cover story. Man Pepper acknowledges him. Tony is ready when he returns to the media to conform to the cover tale, but just as he starts to talk, he puts his notes on the desk and declares, "I am Iron Man," setting off a media frenzy. Thank you for watching. See you on the next video.